Today is our episode 13. Yay! Today is our episode 13. And another thing that is making me beam with so much smile is because we have another guest in the house. Can I hear those virtual claps? Yes, yes, yes. You can clap, please. We have another guest in the house. She is the one who is taking the floor today. I'm going to have her speak from her heart. And then at the end of the day, whatever questions we have for her, I've enabled it. You can type your questions and we can ask her the question at the end. Now, this is going to be a very detailed session. I don't want her to rush. I've told her, if you cannot finish what we have today, we'll take it up next week. Okay, so the most important thing is that people get the value for what she's here for. All right, so before I introduce her, for those of you joining, like I said, my name is Zyna Obasi, and I'm your host on the Waiting Room with Zyna. Today is our 13th episode, and we have been having different topics. Today, we are continuing with the topic from last week, adoption. I did share my experience last week. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words, for your kind prayers and everything. So many people reached out to me personally. They direct, send some direct messages to me and all that. I really appreciate you. So many people didn't know what I went through in those 17 years of waiting and all my attempts. So they were reaching out to me, and I really appreciate your kind words. God bless you. Part of my story, I did not even finish it. I forgot to say that part. Was the fact that even while I was still waiting for River State to call me, after all the whole thing, it did call me, and I went there, and another disappointment happened. I got to the orphanage home, and I was still not given a baby. So all these experiences, I mean, they were the things that formed and gave me the inspiration to write this book. And this book, The Waiting Room, this Zyna's Waiting Room, now gave rise to this the Waiting Room with Zyna. So every single one of my experiences, I had to use them to put all of that effort, and that gave us what we have today. And I thank God because we're able to channel all of that negative energy to something positive. So I'm grateful that some of here now benefiting from this program. Please, if you know anyone trying to join us on YouTube or Instagram, I think the network is also very, very bad there. So they can just come and click on the link and join us on better today. Thank God. Join us on Zoom or go to my Facebook page and join us, Zyna Obasi. All right. So, but I'm recording this session. At the end of it, we're going to post it on those platforms for those who would miss it. Network. So today we have someone who is going.
Hello. Hello, Z. Can I start? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. I hope you can hear me too.
I can hear you even though the network is bad. Can I start?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? You can increase the volume of your device because your video is not on. Okay, so switch on your video so I can introduce you and then you can start.
Okay.
If you can, hello?
I'm hearing you, Z.
Can you hear me, Daberechi?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, beautiful. Are you going to use your video?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, your video is off.
You disabled it
So
from
turn
there.
on your video then. Let me introduce you. No, it's not from my side.
Are you sure? It's from your side.
I'm sure. Wow.
So I cannot use video.
Check it again.
The host disabled it. I can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you disabled it.
Okay. Let me go to your okay, let me put you on the spotlight then. I'm sorry about that. Let me put you on the spotlight.
Okay, let me start. Hello, Z.
Yes, let me introduce you so you can start.
Okay, dear.
I can hear you. Let me introduce you so you can start.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Oh, sorry guys, the network seems to be poor today, and let me just introduce our guest and then she can start while we try to sort out every other thing. Her name is Joy Daberechi Oloha. She is from Network for Advancement of Vulnerable Persons, which is NAVP, an organization that focuses on the rights and protection of women, children, girls, and vulnerable persons. She is a frontline gender-based service responder, a mediator, and an arbitrator on civil gender-based violence. She is calling in from Owerri, Imo State, Owerri, and she's going to have to speak to us because she has helped a lot of people in the case of adoption. So, Daberechi, the floor is open to you. Welcome, and thank you for being here for us.
Thank you, Z, for such a wonderful opportunity.
Go ahead if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, good evening, Z, and thank you for the wonderful opportunity you're giving me to speak to our audience. So network is not friendly. Let's just move on. As our host has introduced the topic for today, the adoption process, steps to adoption. First of all, you ask yourself, what is adoption? That's the first question we should ask ourselves. I know Z has maybe explained that in her previous episodes. But for today, let me just remind us of the meaning. Adoption is a process whereby a person assumes the parental rights of a child from his or her biological parents or legal parents. I hope you all are hearing me. Yeah, I have explained what adoption is.
Yes.
Yeah, and before one goes into adoption, there are some factors that person should have in mind, because it's not a journey that one will go through and think of coming back. It's a lifetime journey. Once you entered into it, you have entered. So you need to consider many factors. One, you need to bear in mind that that child you are going to adopt has no blood relationship with you, and there may be some challenges along the line after adopting the child. You may have some health challenges coming from the child or even from you. You may have some bad behaviors coming from the child. You need to tolerate all these things. So you need to put all those things into consideration before you take a step to adopt a child. Many a times we do mistakes. Instead of us putting those factors into consideration, we will just jump into adoption. And when we see one or two challenges along the way, we start thinking of returning that child from the agency we adopted him or her from. So that's why before you adopt a child, you need to follow some steps. Legal adoption, that's what we are talking here. We are not discussing anything apart from legal adoption of a child. I know that many people may go into adoption through many shortcuts, but the one we are discussing here and the one we assist people in is legal adoption. That's the one we are giving you steps to, and that's the one our host went through, legal adoption. When you go through legal adoption, that child automatically becomes yours. You have the document. Nobody will challenge the parental background of that child, because court has given you a certificate order of adoption. That child automatically is yours. So the steps to follow when you want to adopt a child, you first of all, if it's a single parent, you first of all discuss with your parents. Assuming you are a lady and you have not gotten married, but when you look at your age, you say, it's necessary that I have a child. You need to discuss with your parents, because automatically that child will be in your immediate family. If you are married, at times, most times, husbands, they find it difficult to allow their wife to go for adoption. But whereby you have a supportive husband, you still need his consent. You still need to discuss it with him. Get his consent. Once you get his consent, two of you will put those factors into consideration. After considering those factors, and you finally decided that you will go for adoption, you move on to the ministry in your state, the ministry in charge of child adoption, because you have a ministry that have that mandate to give out a child to adoptive parents. Not that they will give you that child without going through court processes. No, but they are the ministry, they have the mandate. And that ministry is Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. In some states, they know them as Ministry of Women Affairs and Gender. Like in Imo State, they are called Ministry of Women Affairs and Vulnerable Groups. So you need to go to that ministry. You express your interest by putting up an application for adoption. In that application, you will state the sex of the child. What I mean by sex is either a girl or a boy child, either a twin or a single child. You need to state that in that application. You need to state the age of the child you want to adopt. Because at times, most couples, they need a child that is either newborn or 3 months old or a year old, depending. So you need to put those things down in that application so that the ministry, when they are giving out a child to you, they know the type of child they will give to you. Then after putting up an application with the ministry, you will go to a recognized home, that operates with government mandate and certificates. Sometimes we call them orphanage home. Most times we call them home. So you will go to that home and put up an application again. When you put up an application in that home, remember, you will give them your passport. If you are doing it with your husband, the passport of your husband and yours will be submitted, will be attached to that application. The component of the child you want to adopt, whether you want a child that is fair in complexion or dark in complexion or chocolate color, whatever makeup of a child you want, you need to state it in that application. Likewise, the one you dropped in the ministry. So once you drop those applications, you have to exercise patience, because it's not something that you drop today and tomorrow they will call you to inform you that the child is available. No. At times, it takes more than a year. It takes more than 6 months. If you are lucky, maybe within a month or 2 months, you can be called up to come and pick up a child and go for the court processes. When you pick up the application from the ministry and they have called you that a child is available, that you can come and process it, first of all, what you should do is you take that application, you validate it, then you will then go to court for the necessary documents. You will go to family court. It's not every court. There is a court in charge of adoption. There is a court, we call it family court in Imo State here and in every other state. But in Imo State here, the process of child adoption is being carried out by the magistrate in the family court. The magistrate section of the family court, that's where you do the processes. One, the documents that will be required when you are doing those processes in court, you will get a marriage certificate for a married couple or a sworn declaration of marriage. 2, the birth certificate or sworn declaration of age of each applicant. The woman will bring an affidavit of age declaration, a sworn declaration of age. The husband will bring his, then 2 passport photographs of each applicant, a medical certificate of fitness of the applicant from a government hospital. That medical fitness certificate should be gotten from a government hospital, not from a private hospital. Because when you get to a private hospital, they can give you whatever thing they feel like. They can just write up a certificate and give it to you. But why they insist that you must get it from a government hospital, for you to go for the necessary test that is required, is not something that they can give you a paper. No. The necessary tests, one, they need to check your gene, if you have any hereditary disease, if you have any health challenge, so that they will know whether you can be able to take care of that child or not. Such other documents, requirements, and information as the court may require for the purpose of the adoption is 1, a birth registration certificate from National Population Commission. Remember that this child is not yours. We are just making the process. So when you get to the National Population Commission to get the birth registration certificate, the name that will be written on that certificate is that child's first name. Assuming that child's name is Ngozi or Amarachi, that's what you write on that certificate. You don't need to add your surname because she's not your child. For now, she's not your child. So she's only bearing her own name or his name. Your surname should not be attached to that child's name. So you get that birth registration from National Population Commission. Remember, you also get a medical certificate of fitness for that child too, so that you will know whether that child has any health challenge or not. So you need to get a medical certificate of fitness for the child. Then you now proceed to court. You will also submit a statement of your bank account. You need to submit it to the court. You will also get to your Eze to get a recommendation letter from your traditional ruler, so that the courts will actually know that, fine, this couple or this parent is coming from a community, and the Eze is aware of what he or she wants to do. And this is a part of legalizing the adoption in the community too. Then you will also get to your religious leader, whether Reverend Father or Pastor or whoever, to get a recommendation letter from him too, so that the court will be ascertain that, fine, this person is a Christian or a Muslim, but he attends a church. There is a church group he attends. That church will also attest to your behavior. That's the major thing, your character, because somebody can come up and claim to be a responsible person when he or she is not. Then, once you submit all those things, on receipt of those documents, the court shall order an investigation to be conducted by a child development officer of the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. There must be an investigation. They will get to your home to investigate if the address you put in those applications, in those affidavits, are real. And they will also ask some questions when they get to that family to ascertain the purpose of that adoption. Because at times, somebody can disguise himself or herself and adopt a child for ritual or for child labor or for whatever reason. But for the government to know why you are doing that adoption, they will carry out an investigation by a child development officer. What do you mean by a child development officer? Those officers of Ministry of, we call a social worker at times, but in court, they are known as child development officer, CDO. Then another supervision officer that the court may deem fit to conduct such investigation, so that it will enable the court to know actually the authenticity of the adoption. Because at times, we are all human beings. There may be mistakes or there may be sentiments in doing some things. So for the court to be sure that the investigation report that will be submitted by the child development officer, they will also send another person to conduct such assessment So when the court confirmed the stability of the applicant as an adopter or adopters and of the child to be adopted, the court shall reach a decision relating to the adoption of the child. They will reach a decision. And once they reach a decision, the lawyer, remember, all this filing in the court, you can't do it by yourself. You need to get a lawyer that will do the filing in court. So once the investigations are carried out, the lawyer will move on to move the application in court. And it's not once they move the application, they will give you the child. No. For adoption, no. You will foster the child first. They will give you a fostering order. And that fostering order may last 3 months minimum. You will foster that child for a minimum of 3 months or 1 year, as the case may be. It depends on when you decide to come back for the main adoption order. But for fostering, you must foster the child for 3 months. After 3 months, you can come back to the court to continue the process, the final process for the final adoption certificate order by the same magistrate court, by the same magistrate, unless the magistrate is on transfer. Whoever that is in that court will continue from where she or he stops. But for you to be an adoptive parent, for you to have that child as a biological child, you must go through the legal process of applying to the ministry, getting approval, having a child available, then move on to court for the processes. You must tender those documents and you must apply legally. But we should have in mind that once the child is given to you as an adopted child, that child automatically becomes your biological child, because you have assumed the parental care, the parental rights, the right that child has from her parents or from his parents. So automatically that child becomes your biological child. Remember that at times, couple may decide to adopt a child at their old age, assuming their biological children have all gotten married or they are no longer staying with them. They may need a child to stay with them. They may go for adoption. The same way you treat those your biological children is the same way you will treat this adopted child of yours. That child has rights to parental care, has rights for protection, and has rights for maintenance. And that child, that adopted child, has the right to freedom of discrimination. You cannot discriminate that child from anything, from any of your belongings, from any of your relations. You can't give that child the impression that, see, you are not my biological child. You can't discriminate that child from whatever thing. That child is yours. And there is no way in the community or in the society that child will be termed a bastard. No. Bearing in mind that there is no child that is a bastard. Every child has a father. Even if the father is not present there, that child has a father somewhere. One day, they will come together. So this adopted child is your biological child on completion of the court processes, on the completion of every legal processes. Once the adoption certificate order is given to you, that child becomes yours. there is no going back. You can't tell me that maybe you will take that child back to ministry when you're experiencing any challenge, maybe in that child's behavior or in that child's health. You can't. And that's the major reason. Before you take up that child, you will run the medical test, the necessary medical test. You conduct it on that child to decide whether you will adopt him or her or you will not. And during fostering period, that fostering period, that's another period, that's another opportunity given to the adoptive parents to take a final decision on that child. If during that period is a child that you cannot cope with, that's the period you will return it to the ministry. That see, this and that, so reason have made me not to continue with the adoption. But once we are through with the fostering period, move on with the final adoption process. You can't take that child back to wherever you get it. And it's advisable when you are going for adoption, you go through the right way. You go through the right steps. Don't go through shortcuts. And for our fellow women who feels that when you go for adoption, you're not a full, complete woman. No. It's better you go for an adoption than going for surrogate. When you go for surrogate parenting, that's a big problem because that lady that has that child for you, one day, sometime in life, she may come back for her child. She may come back for her child. So legal adoption is the best option for a couple or for a parent who needs a child apart from a biological child. Legal adoption is the best option. Don't go for another option. Just go for legal adoption. And the process is easy. Though at times it is frustrating if you don't have patience. That's when you get frustrated. But if you can exercise patience, you cannot be frustrated. You cannot. And once you take that decision that you want to go for adoption, I don't think there's anything that will make you to be frustrated along the way. No. So, our listeners, legal adoption is the best. Legal adoption is the best. Just follow the right steps. You will be successful. And once you treat that child, you give that child all the rights he or she deserves. That child will also exercise his or her responsibilities towards you. It's when you start showing that child that you are not my biological child. You know, at times, our utterances, our behaviors, our actions speaks louder than voice. There is a way you will treat a child. That child will start asking you if really you are my parent, if you really are my mother, if you are my father. And when that child probes further, you will see somebody that will call her by the side or him by the side and tell him or her that, listen, this is not your biological parents. So these are the things we need to guard against. Once you adopt a child, treat that child as your biological child, because she or he is your biological child by law, by court, by the order of court. That child is a biological child. So I don't know if you have any question to ask before I conclude. Hello, Zyna.
Wow. Okay. Yes. I have a few questions. I was hoping that I'll get questions from my viewers, but we seem to have lost YouTube and Instagram. I'm not sure we the Instagram people want to watch me, but I don't know. The network is so poor that they can't see me. Oh, okay. Oh, they've been listening, but they couldn't see me all this while. Okay, I'm sorry, Instagram viewers, you cannot see our guest because she is on Zoom, but I'm going to post the link to this program later to you. So I did jot down a few questions for you, madam. Let me see if anybody has asked some questions. Oh, okay. Yeah. There are some questions on the chat. Let me start from there. There's a question from Gloria Wokocha. She says, thanks, Joy. Thanks, Zyna. Please, how long does this whole process take in all? What she means is, how long does the process of adoption take? Please, can you answer that for her?
Okay, I said that it
Did
depends
you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you. It depends on the availability of that child.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It depends on the availability of the child.
Okay.
There are times when a couple apply for a child for adoption, within a month or 2 months, there will be a child that is available. At times it takes some 3, 6 months, but all I know is that no matter how long it takes, legal adoption is the best. Hello?
All right. Thank you for clearing that up. Please, guys, more questions. I'm going to stretch our time a little bit. Yes, I can hear you. We got your answer. I'm just trying to advise people to ask more questions. But while I'm waiting for them, let me make a point on the surrogacy. So 3 weeks ago, we had a guest who came to us and talked about surrogacy. And she did mention what you said about the surrogacy, the challenges of surrogacy, which is the challenges of the traditional surrogacy. And that's what you also pointed out here. Traditional surrogacy has its problems, which is the situation where you say, okay, my sister is a baby for me. They used to do it in those days. In my family, there were some people that did it actually. But it always ended up with wahala, because when you say, oh, my sister or my cousin, or this child I raised, let her help me, they will go and now have to sleep with your husband. Or the husband will say, I want to have another child. And then you go and talk to his friend and say, give me a young child, your young daughter that is of bearing age, childbearing age. Let her come and help us out. Bring in that lady, she would have to sleep with the man, even if it's just for the purpose of procreation. Once they've had that contact, and she will carry the pregnancy to term and give birth to that child. Her DNA is in that child. So that child is her child. Then by the time you ask her to go, or you refer back to the agreement that we have settled you should go, part of her is in your house. So it gives a lot of problem, which was why Toyin advised that what they now do is they have completely eradicated the traditional surrogacy in their practice. What they do now is the other surrogacy whereby you don't, the carrier has nothing to do with the child. And in fact, these days, they don't even get to see the parents, they don't get to see the child. The agreement is made in such a way that when the people in charge of the surrogacy, like in a company, when they get the surrogate mom that matches what they are looking for, they will get the egg of the woman, the sperm of the man, fertilize it, and just use her womb to carry. And on the day of the birth, the child will be birthed through her. They don't allow the woman to push. It is through CS. Once the child is brought out, the woman is taken care of and she goes the other way. Then the child is removed and given to the parents of that child from inception. I just wanted to drop that because that's the best. If you must do surrogacy, that's what you do. Don't do traditional surrogacy. It is not advisable because it comes with wahala. Another question from Gloria. How about a situation where, let me get that question. How about a situation where you have a nephew that is a minor and has been in your custody for a while because he has lost his mom or dad and you have reason to adopt him? How do you go about it? Is it the same process and same length of time? Over to you.
Okay. In that case, we call it a relative adoption. Since the man is related to you, and the parents have died, nobody to take care of that minor. It's called a relative adoption. It doesn't require all those processes like an adoption of a child to be a biological child. Though that minor, once you adopt her or him, becomes your own biological child. But you don't need to write an application to a home. You will now write to Ministry of Human Affairs, telling them that you want to adopt a minor, that he or she is your relative. You will still go for medical tests. You will still go for birth registration of that child. Because once you adopt that child, after getting the certificate of adoption, you will still go back to National Population Commission to get a final birth registration of that child, which will be your complete name. What I mean by complete name is that child's name with your surname attached to it. So that minor, when you want to adopt that minor as your child, you will still go to court. You still need that legal processes so that and when you adopt that child, nobody will come and ask you or will come and accuse you of using that child as a child labor or as a house help or whatever thing, even as child trafficking, because sometimes many people can label you anything. So once you want to help that child, you want to have him or her as your child, you must go through court processes. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I got that. Thank you. Okay. Your video is on, by the way, so you may want to position your phone very well. Your video is on now, yes. All right. That answer. Okay. Let me see if there is another question. If there's none, I'll take one of mine. Okay, Gloria is complaining about the network. I'm so sorry, my dear. It's terrible everywhere. But I'm glad that we're at least getting some things done. Okay, so I want to ask you, some people asked me, when I started this particular topic, I got some questions last week and 2 weeks ago. And I told the people that asked the question to watch, but I'm not sure if you're here because of the network. So someone asked me, does adoption cost money? If yes, what are you spending money on and how much? So please, can you take that question for us?
We are in Nigeria. Basically, adoption should be free. Basically, legally, adoption should be free. But in Nigeria, nothing goes for nothing. That's why I advise any person that wants to go into adoption to go into a legal adoption, where you go through the ministry. The social mother, that is the biological mother of that child, at times needs some settlement from the home. That's where you have the financial aspect of the adoption processes. She needs a sort of compensation, because if you attached money to adoption or to any child, that means you are doing child trafficking. What you are doing is baby selling and baby buying. But in a home, when you keep that child there for fostering, there are some that will adopt a child during that fostering period. They will leave that child under the care of the home, the government recognized home, they will charge you for upkeep of that child, depending on the home you are doing the adoption processes with. They will charge you for child upkeep. I don't know how much they are charging now, but I know that they charge not less than 100,000 per month. That's the type of Nigeria we are in. So, but that will not discourage any adoptive parents. That will not, because if you go through the other way around, you will spend more. When you go through the so-called cryptic fake pregnancy, you will spend more than what you will spend in the court, what you spend legally. So it's better that if you want to do an
Please,
adoption.
what is cryptic pregnancy?
Yeah,
can you explain
that word?
Cryptic pregnancy.
Yeah, cryptic pregnancy, some describe it as someone being pregnant, carrying it for years, not months, so years. You carry it for years. You will not go to any other hospital apart from that particular so-called clinic where you did whatever thing you do. You will not attend any medical checkups during that period. During the time of delivery, you will not go to any other hospital apart from that particular hospital where you did that cryptic. So I advise people, you can either have a child biologically or you have a child through legal adoption to avoid the hazards that one experience in doing cryptic or fake pregnancy. There's nothing wrong telling people that you adopted a child. Is better than having a health challenge that may lead you to early grave. It's better that you tell the whole world, see, this child I'm having is an adopted child. Not that you put it on air. No, you can confide in your friends. Than faking up a pregnancy and having a health issue at the end. So even if it takes you a year, even if it takes you 2 years, once you file in the application, a sex patient, because there are applications filed, lined up in the ministry. Those ones that want to do it legally, to do short, I don't know, you may have yourself to blame at the end. Because even when you go through shortcut, you will not have it within a month, even within a year.
Exactly.
Unless you get into baby's
all right. Which is detrimental. So
yeah.
Every party involved.
Yes.
It's in 15 minutes. What I'm going to do is we're going to end it here, and I'm going to beg you to come back next week to take more questions. And we count on that and pray that the network will be better. Even if you're not coming next week, you can come another week or the other. So
no problem.
We will discuss. You tell me when you will.
Either next or in 2 weeks
because this poor network has this in 2 weeks time. All right, that's beautiful. So I'm going to ask people to ask their questions or write them down, and then when we come back, you take all these other questions. I even have more questions I want to throw, but I don't want them to miss out because the network is really poor and we've taken longer than the time usually for the program. So thank you so much. Sorry?
Zyna, for the opportunity. Hello.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I said in our next episode.
Thank you. God bless you.
Bye.
Talk more. Yes. Thank you. Bye. Good night. God bless you.
Good night.
And to all viewers that stuck with me, this is how you know who really, really loves you. This program, this particular episode, the devil has tried, but God is bigger than him. So next week we're coming back. I'm going to post the video to Instagram, to YouTube, and Facebook as well, so that people who missed out will catch up. But we're coming back with this, my beautiful sister here. She's coming back either next week or the other one. But next week we have someone. If she's not coming next week, we have another powerful speaker that is coming to this adoption. We're talking about it for another 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to talk about it. So those who have issues with adoption, by the end of this session, I believe by the end of all these sessions I've given to adoption, you would know that there is really no problem. And if you want to adopt, you go ahead and do that and save yourself all the heartaches. Okay, so thank you guys for coming, for being on the show. Don't forget, keep telling people about it, keep sharing, keep commenting, and keep following us on all the social media handles, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and every other place. Thank you guys. God bless you. Don't forget, I always say, children are a gift from God. No matter how he gives them to you, take care of them. Just do the best you can for those children, and know that God, who has given you these children, he's going to ask you what you did with them at the end of the day. So take care of the children and be grateful to God for giving you such children. God bless you. Until I see you again next week on another episode of The Waiting Room with Zyna. Good night. Bye. Love you guys.
Good night.
Today is our episode 13. Yay! Today is our episode 13. And another thing that is making me beam with so much smile is because we have another guest in the house. Can I hear those virtual claps? Yes, yes, yes. You can clap, please. We have another guest in the house. She is the one who is taking the floor today. I'm going to have her speak from her heart. And then at the end of the day, whatever questions we have for her, I've enabled it. You can type your questions and we can ask her the question at the end. Now, this is going to be a very detailed session. I don't want her to rush. I've told her, if you cannot finish what we have today, we'll take it up next week. Okay, so the most important thing is that people get the value for what she's here for. All right, so before I introduce her, for those of you joining, like I said, my name is Zyna Obasi, and I'm your host on the Waiting Room with Zyna. Today is our 13th episode, and we have been having different topics. Today, we are continuing with the topic from last week, adoption. I did share my experience last week. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words, for your kind prayers and everything. So many people reached out to me personally. They sent some direct messages to me and all that. I really appreciate you. So many people didn't know what I went through in those 17 years of waiting and all my attempts. So they were reaching out to me, and I really appreciate your kind words. God bless you. Part of my story, I did not even finish it. I forgot to say that part. Was the fact that even while I was still waiting for River State to call me, after all the whole thing, it did call me, and I went there, and another disappointment happened. I got to the orphanage home, and I was still not given a baby. So all these experiences, I mean, they were the things that formed and gave me the inspiration to write this book. And this book, The Waiting Room, this Zyna's Waiting Room, now gave rise to this, the Waiting Room with Zyna. So every single one of my experiences, I had to use them to, put all of that effort. And that gave us what we have today. And I thank God because we're able to channel all of that negative energy to something positive. So I'm grateful that some of here now benefiting from this program. Please, if you know anyone trying to join us on YouTube or Instagram, I think the network is also very, very bad. there. So they can just come and click on the link and join us on better today. Thank God. Join us on Zoom or go to my Facebook page and join Zyna. All right. So, but I'm recording this session. At the end of it, we're going to post it on those platforms for those who would miss it. Network. So today we have someone who is going.
Hello. Hello, Z. Can I start? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. I hope you can hear me too.
I can hear you even though the network is bad. Can I start?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? You can increase the volume of your device because your video is not on. Okay, so switch on your video so I can introduce you and then you can start.
Okay.
If you can, hello?
I'm hearing you, Z.
Can you hear me, Daberichi?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, beautiful. Are you going to use your video?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, your video is off.
You disabled it
So
from
turn
there.
on your video then. Let me introduce you. No, it's not from my side.
Are you sure? It's from your side.
I'm sure. Wow.
So I cannot use video.
Check it again.
The host disabled it. I can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you disabled.